Today I want to talk to you about something that's very close to my heart, and that is sleeping. Um, Sleeping is fantastic. I love doing it, but for the longest point in my life, like the longest time, I really struggled going to bed. I'd put off going to bed. When I did go to bed, I'd be checking my phone, I'd be on my laptop, I'd be on the internet, trying to avoid actually falling asleep. And the reason why essentially was because I had a lot of underlying stress and anxiety that I'd been putting off throughout the day, putting out throughout my life, in fact. And when I went to bed, when I went to sleep, all these things I've been pushing down, like avoiding, distracting myself from, as I started to relax, my mind and body started to relax, what would happen is I wouldn't be able to keep them forced down, so they'd start to come back up, and then I'd start to get worried or stressed about what was going to happen the next day, the next week, throughout the rest of my life, what I'd just done, all of these sorts of things. Maybe you can relate. This is a very, very common thing with a lot of people who are avoiding emotions, especially stress, anxiety, deep fears and stuff that happen. Right, a lot of people go throughout life avoiding these things throughout the day, distracting themselves from it, pushing them down, and so when they finally try and go to sleep, all of this stuff starts to come back up. So I used to, really avoid going to bed, really avoid trying to sleep, and I'd leave my laptop on, right, playing, white noise, episodes of The Simpsons, meditation tracks, something to keep my mind occupied, right, so that I could grasp onto that rather than have to engage with what I was feeling. Right. Now, if you've watched my last videos on releasing or letting go, meditation, right, that's what I do now. Like, I'll stay with those feelings and let them pass, and if I have any stress or anxiety that comes up, that's kind of how I deal with it. If I'm doing this throughout the day, right, and working on this stuff, it helps that most of the time now when I go to bed, I don't have so much stuff coming up, or I don't have anything coming up. It's, because I deal with it as it comes. But if you're not at that stage yet, what we can do is work with this breathing technique, which is a very, very powerful, practical and natural way to get your body and mind relaxed and calm for sleep. So this is called the 4-7-8 breathing method. Right, it was produced by or developed by a Dr. Andrew Weil. What it does is it encourages the body to return and the central nervous system to return to the rest and digest or rest and recover state, right, as opposed to the fight or flight, which is where we are when we're stressed or anxious. Right, so stress, anxiety, fight or flight is characterized by like upper chest breathing exclusively, like a fast, shallow breath from the chest. Right. We want to avoid that. We want to go into that diaphragmatic breathing. If you haven't already seen it, check out my video on how to breathe properly, like from the belly, which also includes, if you're breathing from here, you also want to be including your whole lungs, which will include your chest too. But we're going to start this by driving the breath from the diaphragm, from the belly. All right. Don't worry too much about that if you're not there yet, right? But we can practice that, certainly. It's something that's very, very powerful. So we'll start to breathe from the belly here. And then what we're going to do from there, right, we're going to count a 4-7-8 breathing pattern, which means breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and then exhale for 8. Right, so that's the breathing pattern. What we're looking to do is breathe in, hold, and exhale. Breathe in, hold, and exhale. And then we repeat that as long as necessary until you start to come down or you start to fall asleep. Right. So something I want to really clarify as well is that this is not necessarily just something that it has to be 4 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds. What it is slowing the rate of respiration and encouraging us to breathe deeper. So if you're struggling with that, don't force yourself, right? You don't want to be breathing in. You've got to the end of your inhale and then you're holding it or forcing it for another 2 seconds to get there. And then you're holding for 7 and like halfway through you're struggling to breathe, so you're gulping for air. And then when you're breathing out, you've finished your exhale in 4 or 5 and you're struggling with empty lungs. Right? That's the opposite of what we want. That's going to stress you out even more, right? And keep you back in that stress response state. What you want to be doing is relaxing into this. So the 4, 7, 8 is a guideline, right? So you want to be breathing and relaxed like a wave here. So holding, exhaling. Breathing in. And out. So essentially what we're doing is giving ourselves something to grasp onto. So the count helps calm our conscious mind. The focus on the breath also gives you something to grasp onto, something that's not stressful, that's not connected to your day-to-day work or stresses or anxieties, brings you back into your body. Right? Very, very important this if you're worried about stuff. There's too much stuff going on for you to deal with. It gives you something like calm and neutral to focus on, which is where the counting really, really helps. It's like a little mantra for you to repeat, or counting sheep even. Right, what it's doing is engaging your conscious mind to stop it going with all of the stuff like that you're worried about is keeping you from sleeping. As we're doing that, the slow, deep breathing takes us back, takes our body and our nervous system back into that rest or digest, rest and recover phase. So it engages your conscious mind and your unconscious, subconscious mind, bringing your whole body back down into a calm, sleeping state. Right. So 4, 7, 8, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, but keeping it relaxed. If you find yourself tense, right? If you find yourself tensing up or struggling, like count faster or just like let your breath drop a little bit. Last thing you want to be doing is adding more stress and worrying about the count. Okay, so 4, 7, 8 is a guideline. If you can hold to it, that's great. But eventually, what you want to be doing anyway, like even if you're like not stressed or anxious, even if you're not counting, is going back to that sleeping pattern or that breathing pattern of just slow breath in, holding, and exhaling. And what we're looking for is not a forced hold, right? But it's essentially breathing in and breathing out. So it's a very slow wave here. Slow wave in, holding, exhaling, holding, and back up. So think about it as a very natural slow wave in and out. In and out. Right. Very powerful breath. I use this if I'm really struggling to sleep, if I've got a lot of stuff in my mind, or if there's something bothering me. But to be honest, since I've been doing a lot of the releasing work, the meditation work, it hasn't happened very often. But I do still find myself breathing this way naturally as I go to sleep. So, sweet dreams, everyone. Good night.